Borrowing money when you're self-employed doesn't have to be complicated. Let's unpack that for you. I'm Paul Hixon from Loan Market.
And I'm Andrew Timms from Loan Market.
So Andrew, the first thing we need to look at is the different ways that banks will assess income for a self-employed borrower. Now, a lot of the time, self-employed borrowers put a lot of things through the company. There's a lot less profit kicking around than sometimes we need to do. But there are good and profitable companies, and so the first option would be a full doc assessment of a borrower.
Yeah, that's correct, Paul. And for a full doc assessment, this is where the self-employed applicant, whether they're a sole trader, if a sole trader, they just need tax returns to come through for the last 2 years and a notice of assessment. If a company or a trust set up, we're going to need tax returns, so personal, company, and you're also going to need trust tax returns and notice of assessments for the last 2 years.
So there's quite a lot of documentation involved in that one, but that would look at everything, wouldn't it? It would involve the profit and the wages that the company would provide. So we can use all of those things, and there's different lenders there that we can use for that. The next one really is the more modern one since post-COVID, which is the simple self-employed. Do you want to explain that one as well?
Yeah, so simple self-employed is, as Paul mentioned, came in since COVID. Most of the big banks have got together and went, how can we simplify self-employed lending? And what they did is come up with a few different ways. So certain banks they will just request your last 2 years of notice of assessments. So with those notice of assessments, you don't need any other documentation, just 2 years worth of notice of assessments. There's other banks who will just request 6 months of payslips. So if you're paying yourself a wage, they will use that wage over the 6 months. Some banks will want it over 12 months. They're the most common simple self-employed methods.
And that's really because COVID really affected self-employed borrowers. And so the banks have come up with an option to try and make that nice and easy.
Correct.
And then the last one's the low doc option. And low doc options is really, that's just an accountant's letter or maybe BAS for 12 months. And we can calculate an income from those based upon the type of industry you're in. So really simple ways we can actually get around the complexity of self-employed. Okay, so what can we do, Andrew, to maybe prepare a self-employed person to be ready to borrow money if they're not ready now?
Best advice is to contact your accountant straight away. Get onto your accountant, get your tax returns and financials in order. We can have a look at them. If it doesn't suit a full doc method, we can look at simple self-employed, or if that doesn't work, we can look at the low doc options for you. But yeah, contact early the accountant, get your documentation through as quickly as you can. Make sure your taxes are up to date, because we generally need to see ATO portals as well.
One quick tip, contact a broker early. They can work out your borrowing power based upon the wages you're currently paying yourself. And if you need to pay yourself a little bit more to get to where you need to be, you can adjust it with time. And so if we are, say, 6 or 12 months out, and we've got some up and down income over a couple of years, we might start to also look at creating some pay slips. So start to pay themselves a wage, pay super on that wage, and then we can start to plan out that we're going to use that wage in, say, 6 months' time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've done that for multiple clients over the last 12 months. So it's just a great way to get someone into the market just using that simple self-employed method, and we don't need to look at other documentation like tax returns or financials.
And so if one of those options may seem suitable to you, reach out to a broker, but make sure they're specialists in self-employed, and they should be able to guide you through some of those steps.